Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another episode of Jedi Mantis Tastes. This is a quick episode this week, or month I should say, because we have visited this distillery before, so I'm not going to go into a huge amount, but having said that, there is a fair bit of information about what whiskey it is. And the whiskey in question is a Glenfiddich, the Age of Discovery single malt Scotch whiskey, and this is the Red Wine Cask finish. It's 19 years old, 40% volume, and we'll just go over what's on the box. We'll have a little bit of an unboxing of it, and then we'll have the taste. So on the front it says it's an extraordinarily rich Glenfiddich single malt Scotch whisky finished in oak casks previously used to produce the smooth, complex wines of South America. Malbec, Merlot and Cabernet Sauvignon grapes combine with the oak to deliver exceptional smoothness, complemented by warm, spicy notes. Sweet berry flavours lend a velvety sweetness. And so the Age of Discovery range by Glenfiddich, it was a travel retail exclusive. However, you can now get these on the internet. This one came from masterofmalt.com and it was around £100, £99 and some change. Opening this up, we can see it's got the magnetic claws in there. We have a nice, as we open up, a map of the voyage of the HMS Beagle. There's grandeur in this view of things, Charles Darwin. So this one was to commemorate the voyage of the HMS Beagle and Charles Darwin's journey as he came up with his theory of evolution. So we've got a bit of information here. Another quote from Charles Darwin: "Nothing can be more improving to a young naturalist than a journey in a distant country." In 1831, the HMS Beagle sailed from Plymouth in England. Charles Darwin, a young gentleman naturalist, was on board the ship, having been recruited by Robert Fitzroy, the ship's captain, to record the natural history and geology and that they were to encounter on their travels. Beagle's voyage lasted nearly 5 years, sailing down the east coast of South America, through the Straits of Magellan, up the west coast, and then onwards to the Galapagos, Tahiti, New Zealand, Australia and South Africa. Having circled the globe, they returned to England, landing in Falmouth in 1836. Darwin spent much of the trip travelling on land, marking long expeditions to the interior of South America, collecting specimens of plants, animals and fossils, as well as recording the geology of the places that he visited. In Argentina, he visited what were to become the key wine-growing regions of the Mendoza and Rio Negro. This 19-year-old Glenfiddich single malt Scotch whisky has been finished in oak casks previously used, and this goes on like it said on the front. Great wine growing regions of South America where they have been used to mellow the famously fine and full-bodied red wines. Darwin had a lifelong interest in vines, publishing a paper called On the Movements and Habits of Climbing Plants, and growing grapevines at Down House, his home in Kent. So that's on that first bit there. We then have a second, and it's not magnetic, this one, but another flap which opens up, reveals that nice bottle inside. A bit more of a map and some of the species here. So you've got the Galapagos iguanas, some birds, the giant tortoise, some more birds. And then a bit more information here. One of Darwin's pivotal moments in the voyage of the HMS Beagle was the month spent exploring the Galapagos Islands. As usual, he spent a great deal of time ashore collecting specimens from the different islands, making observations and drawings, particularly of the giant tortoise, iguanas and many birds. More than 20 years later, it was these specimens and observations that inspired him to publish On the Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection, or the Preservation of Favoured Races in the Struggle for Life. The pioneering spirit of Charles Darwin, Captain Fitzroy and the crew of HMS Beagle, their courage, extraordinary adventures and discoveries still convey a sense of wonder across the 175 years that separate us. In 1886, William Grant and his family set out to fulfil a lifelong ambition. Together with the true pioneering spirit, they built the Glenfiddich distillery by hand. This was the realisation of a dream and the start of a new adventure to create the best dram in the valley. And on Christmas Day in 1887, the first spirit flowed from the stills at the Glenfiddich distillery. Over 125 years later, Glenfiddich remains family owned and has become one of the world's most awarded single malt Scotch whisky. William Grant's pioneering spirit lives on. So inside here you can see there's the little clasp here and the little cradle at the bottom, so that bottle sits nice and firm in there. We'll pop that out and we'll just pop that down. So in the back again you've got just a continuation of the map, lots of different impressions of the HMS Beagle. Closing the box back up, wrong way. On the sides it does have, and I don't know if you'll see this here, but there's a profile view and a top-down view of the HMS Beagle, and it's numbered and it tells you what each part of the ship was. So you've got the poop ladders, the signal flag lockers, after companion, the gangways, brass 9-pounders, 6-pounders, hammock nets, and patent windlass. And that's on the top view. The side view on this side here, you've got Mr. Darwin's seat in Captain's cabin, Mr. Darwin's seat in the poop cabin, Mr. Darwin's chest of drawers, bookcase, and the Captain's skylight. So you can see where he would be housed when he was writing these papers and these surveys. So it's a lovely box. Velvet sort of to the touch on the clasps that hold the bottle in place. Very deep sort of like panelling on it. Very nice presentation piece. If you're going to keep this, you'd want to keep this one in the box. Moving on to the bottle. Very simple. Glenfiddich logo, Age of Discovery, single malt Scotch whisky. I wondered what was coming off the back. It's just the UK market sticker. So very dull black label in here, aged 19 years. Red wine cask finish in the little flurry there. And the same information on the back as what's on the front of the box. But we are going to move back to the box to go over the back of it. So you've got, again, just a quick blurb. This rich and delicious 19-year-old Glenfiddich single malt Scotch whisky has been finished in oak casks previously used to age fine wine. Then goes on, Brian Kinsman, the Glenfiddich malt master and only the 6th in our history since the distillery was built in 1886, has personally selected the single malt Scotch whiskies used to create this exclusive Glenfiddich red wine cask finish and the 3rd in our Glenfiddich Age of Discovery range. So I believe there's also a Madeira cask and a bourbon cask finish in the range. This one sort of like had the most intrigue to me, being with the whole story of Darwin and the red wine cask finish. Well, obviously it's a black bottle. I'm expecting it to be quite a deep colour. We do have the tasting notes here. So the colour is meant to be a rich gold with a hint of ruby, which is what I would expect from this coming into it. Red wine cask finish, you're going to expect that deepness in there. On the nose, we'll be looking for toasted marshmallow, red berry and vanilla oak tannins, ripe fruits and a hint of woody spice. Then moving on to the taste, we'll be picking up more spicy notes on the first taste, deep and smooth with velvety sweetness and rich oak notes and berry sweetness. And then we're looking at a nice sweet with a long lingering tannin finish. So having said that, let's get this bottle open. I didn't pre-tear this, but it's opening okay. So we've got the metal seal, the foil seal. It's got the, I believe it's the compass print. I don't know if you'll see that. You might see it better that way. The compass print on there. But the actual top of the bottle has a Glenfiddich, looks like a coat of arms almost on there. So, lovely big cork. On the bottom, oh, I can smell this already, it smells divine. We've got again the compass point here on the seal on the bottle. Let us, there's a little bit more foil here, I just want to take that off so it doesn't spill when I pour. Just have a little bit now. Oh, that is very light. that looks very light compared to what I was expecting. We'll have a look at the colour now before we put the water in. Quite silky looking in texture. Not at all as dark as I thought it was going to be. Very golden. Swirling it there, there is a reddish hint to it, but it's not as dark as I thought it was going to be. Let's put a drop, and I've got no ice, but it's just cold water. We only want a little bit in there because it is only 40%, so we just want to open those flavours just that little bit. Give it a swirl around and in with the nose. It smells amazing. So what are we looking for? Toasted marshmallow. There is a sweetness to it. Definite picking up the spice, the woody spice. The fruit. Not really picking out a marshmallow. The sweetness to me is more on the fruit. But the spice is the dominant smell on the nose. That's not blowing me away. It's almost a little disappointing. The spice is there, definite spice, not much fruit on the taste. I'm hoping this is just because there's a bit of water in, and when we come to the next taste without the water, it'll really pull it back, because it looks such a nice whiskey that if that's the taste, it is disappointing. It does say smooth, and it is smooth. Deep and smooth with velvety sweetness. It is quite sweet. I don't think it's deep, because to me deep is multiple flavours, and there's only really the spice in there. It's not a nasty taste. It's disappointing in that I was expecting so much more. I was expecting really deep flavours to come through on this one, and it's not living up to that. Let's try a little bit more. Pop that cork back in. Let's now see what it's like without that water. A lot more compact on the nose, as we usually find. Still that big punch of spice. It's better. It is better, but it's not. The finish is nice, but I am still a little disappointed. I think my expectations were too high on this one. Being finished in a red wine, I was expecting a really big fruit hit on this one, and it's not coming through. The spice takes over. The finish is lovely, absolutely lovely finish, very smooth, but the taste on the tongue is lacking in my eyes. I think this may be there was the Tullibardine was a disappointment. I was about to say this may be the first disappointment we've had on the channel. I expected so much more from this, from Glenfiddich. It's not a bad whiskey. It tastes nice, but it doesn't taste as I expected it to, and that could come down on me. I was expecting more. I think the fact you couldn't see the liquid through the bottle built the hype of what this was going to be. But having said that, that finish is very addictive. So I think it's... I'm disappointed with the taste, but I think it's a sleeper hit. Perfectly smooth. There's a lot of really positive points to it. Very smooth, nice, intense spiciness to it. I just expected more fruit, and I expected darker colour. So I think I'm maybe being a bit harsh to say I'm disappointed in it. It just didn't match my expectations. But it is actually a very nice whiskey. Now I've had a bit more of it. Nice tingle actually on the tongue as it goes down. I'm struggling to say that it's a really nice whiskey. It is a nice whiskey, but I'm struggling just because of my expectations of it being better than it is. I'm not going to say it's not worth the money. Just don't, if you're expecting the powerful fruit boldness of a red wine to come through, it doesn't. The spice takes over. So I think my expectations, that's what I'm bringing out of this one. My expectations were a little off. I thought it was going to go one way. It's gone another way. I don't necessarily think that is disappointment. It's a surprise, but where I thought it was going to go, to me, would have been a nicer whiskey. But this is still... It is still a nice whiskey. But I'm struggling to say anything else about it. So I'm not going to. I'm going to end it there. It is nice. I genuinely, I don't think it's worth the £99. I don't know if that's how much you would pay in the travel retail sector. So I would try, if you are going to try it, try and get it cheaper than that. Or go in just expecting it's going to be a spicy whiskey rather than a fruity whiskey. And it'll do you right. But anyway, that's it for this month. Glenfiddich Age of Discovery single malt Scotch whiskey, 19-year-old, to commemorate Charles Darwin. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Cheers.